hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon Live platform, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see that either here in this corner or down below. You also see some of the books from one of our next guests. We have a 2-for-1 today. Really excited about that. An exclusive here on Amazon Live. We're welcoming back Dr. Velma Bagby to our broadcast, but she has some company with her today, someone who knows her very well, and that is Dr. Bruce Bagby as well. This is their first joint live conversation here on Amazon. We're glad to talk to them. They're celebrating 50 years of marriage this year. So we're going to talk to the Bagbys, not only about the success of the kids series, which we've normally been talking about, but also what it's been like for them to share their own story. I should let you guys know you can read a bit of the Bagby story in a book I have highlighted for you guys in the carousel now on Amazon, and that is My 70s Love Story. And if you guys have not read this book, you definitely want to make sure you get it for yourself. There's a cover for you guys to be able to see there here on Amazon. You can get it today for only 99 cents. We're going to talk to the Bagbys, not only about what it's been like for them to share their own story, but also the stories that they've been able to enjoy now with the Catch series. And of course, we're very curious to know what you guys think about all this as well. Also, we are simulcasting our broadcast today. I see you guys already coming in on Facebook and on YouTube. We also are on Twitter as well as LinkedIn today. So we welcome all of you. With all of that being said, hello, Bagbys. Glad to have you on with us.
Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you for having us today. We're excited.
Well, look, we're excited as well. Miss Queenie already is in the building on the Facebook side. She says hello to you all. So first of all, congratulations to the two of you on 50 years of marriage, which is incredible, first of all. Dr. Velma, I'll start with you. I mean, what has it been like for you to see the love that's been coming your way as you all have been celebrating this milestone?
We were just so excited about all of those who reached out to express their love for us. I mean, even sometimes when we're talking, it's very difficult for us to say that number. 50 even sounds amazing to us. Yeah. Just how quickly that time has flown by.
Yeah, I love that. And Dr. Bruce, I want to ask you, this is our first time really having a conversation with you here on Amazon. So we're so glad that you could join us today. I mean, I know that you're used to being with people offline, but what has it been like for you to be able to see the love that Dr. Velma and you have been getting?
I just feel overwhelmed with all the love that we've been getting, online. I mean, it's just great. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. Love that. So, Dr. Velma, we've been talking now for quite some time about the characters you've been able to write in the Catch series. I have the 3 books here. They're in the carousel for our audience on the Amazon side. For those who are joining us on the other platforms, you'll see the link to Amazon to come over and get them for yourself. Also, as I mentioned, the Bagby story, My 70s Love Story, it also is on sale right now for 99 cents. We want you guys to get that. So, Dr. Velma, I want to go to you. I mean, you have been writing about love and relationships in the Catch series. Talk to us about that. What has it been like for you to, as you're celebrating this milestone with Dr. Bruce, what has it been like for you to be able to talk about love and marriage with this series?
I'm excited because, first of all, I'm excited to have my husband here by my side, because in our interviews, you've heard me talk about the fact that I bent his ear quite a bit when I was creating the characters, when I was talking about the male perspective, all of that. I got an opportunity to talk to him, to do my research with him, because he's right here, get his perspective, his opinion. And even the last book, he was one of the ones that encouraged me to write that on that topic for men, based on his experience as well. So I'm excited.
Well, Dr. Bruce, I have to ask you. I mean, I know your wife has been writing for some time, but what has it been like for you to see the success of these 3 books in the Catch series?
It's a blessing to me to be able to see, the 3 books that she has written, or the books that she's written. I'm really proud of my wife. I mean, she's really dedicated to making sure that this information, that it's out there for those that are looking, for a mate, and even for those that have a mate. She's just, again, I'm just so proud of her. And I just want her to continue with the success that she has, and being able to, write more books for the people who are inquiring about a mate.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're going to come back to the catch series. Hello to you, Wendy. Good to be able to see you on the Amazon side.
Hey,
Wendy says hello and says, I'm so happy to see Mr. Bagby.
She's been waiting for you, so say hello to Wendy.
Hello, Wendy.
So this is exciting. The Conversations on Amazon gets to bring you all together. I want to go to the book, as I mentioned. One of the things that we're able to do, Bagby's, is that we're able to kind of get a snapshot into your relationship, as I mentioned, with the book, My 70s Love Story. So, Dr. Bruce, I want to put you on the spot for a second. I mean,
you're first.
Look, you have changed quite a bit since this picture.
Tell me about it.
What is it like for you to reflect on this picture and that book?
Hey, when I see that picture, it just takes me all the way back, just out of high school. So, I mean, it's, man, compared to back then to compare it now, I mean, man.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. but they've changed in a way for the good part, as you can see where we started from, how we looked when we started to where we are now.
Yeah.
And that tells us a great story. And it's good to be able to see that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's pronounced Nepin Angel says, hello, Dr. Velma and your husband on Amazon. Wendy says, I love your love story. Dr. Velma, have to ask you, you have quite the expression in this picture.
Yes, that was kind of my go-to expressions when I was embarrassed. Somebody made us pose, hold it right there, and I'm going, another picture.
And look, who would have known they would now be all over the world, Dr. on social media. I love this, and it's so good to be able to chronicle this journey. I want to read a little bit from my 70s story and have Dr. Velma have you kind of talk about this, because I think it's so interesting. When I was prepping for this segment, I thought about what you wrote in the book, and this is what you said. I'm going to put it up on the screen for our audience as well. You said this: at the age of 20, our wedding day arrived on February the 16th, 1974. Our bridal party included 8 bridesmaids, groomsmen, 16 little candle holders, 2 candle lighters, a flower girl, and a ring bearer. You go on to say this: I remember 2 funny things about our wedding. We forgot to plan a honeymoon and secure a place to live. In answer to our dilemma, my husband's sister provided a hotel stay for us, and my sister gave up her master bedroom for us until we found our own apartment. You then say this, and I love this part too. Both my husband and I look back on our humble beginnings at 20 years old and treasure them, laugh at them, and sometimes question why we experienced them at all. We are fortunate and blessed at how our lives evolved. I joke with my husband and assure him I did not marry him for his money, because back in the 70s, he did not have any. We were both blessed with very successful careers later. And now this year, on February 16, 2019, my husband and I celebrated our 45th wedding anniversary. So Dr. Velma, I'll start with you on this. That was 5 years ago, of course. What is it like for you to reflect on that account now?
Look, we reflect on those moments all the time, especially thinking about how long we've been together. And again, what I said in this truly is our true sentiment. We started off with very little. And we were just looking at the Sherry Show today, and they were complaining about men who didn't make more than $50,000 a year. Yeah. We looked at each other like they have no clue what it takes to really embrace the person that God has for you. And it's not about those things. That's superficial. And so when we look back at it and the lives that we built together, living with my sister and we've bought 2 homes, 3 homes. We've bought 3 homes since that time. And so to think in terms of those humble beginnings, sometimes that's the best way to begin, because you're building together. Yeah. So I love it. I love that you read that particular part, because I forgot that part was there. It's so true.
Yes.
Hey, look, you know me. I'll bring it all to your remembrance.
I told you. What did I tell you? Beware, Cyrus.
She said that was going to happen.
Ricardo says hello to you all on the Facebook. Said, Dr. Bruce, I'm gonna give you a lighter question. Your wife goes on to say, in the book, and I actually will share the screen. You guys have to get this book. As you can tell, it is really powerful. 99 cents right now. I'm gonna highlight it for you guys again on the Amazon side. Again, my 70s love story. But Dr. Bruce, this is what your wife went on to say here about you. Proverbs 18:22 says, "A man who finds his wife finds a good thing. It appears my husband did everything right and showed respect in his actions when we were together. However, with all of our challenges, my husband had to make an effort to show his intentions. And ultimately, if he prepared himself correctly, I would become his reward. I was the prize." I want to talk about that, Dr. Bruce, because I think a lot of times we lose that, right? We lose that idea of this is really a God thing, and the scriptures kind of bear this out, that a man who's able to find a wife finds a good thing. What has it been like for you to share that story about finding your good thing?
That was it was really awesome. I mean, it was a great experience for me, and I took under consideration, and with your parents and their relationships and all of that. And so to be honest, I used the relationships from my parents, and I reflected back on how their relationships were. And I mean, and then I used that in the relationship between Velma and I. And it just helped our relationship, to grow to where it is, right where it is now.
Love that. Love that. Well, I want to say hello to you, Cynthia Mackey on the Amazon side. She says, my sister and brother-in-law. Cynthia says hello. I want to say, because Dr. Velma, it's already happened, and time's getting away from me. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. We are simulcasting now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. I have the privilege of having an exclusive here on Amazon Live. We have Dr. Velma Bagby and Dr. Bruce Bagby joining us. They're recently celebrating 50 years of marriage. Yes. And of course, Dr. Velma Bagby is celebrating her best-selling series, The Catch. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a break now. We're going to lighten things up a little bit and go back to the books.
Okay, you can stop sweating.
Look, Amazon customer, thank you so much for the follow. J-Lo, hello to you on the Amazon side. Appreciate you being with us as well. If you guys are not following us on the Amazon side, make sure you guys do hit that follow button. That's a free way of being able to support us here on the page. You'll find it either here in this corner or down below. So, Dr. Velma, for those who are just finding out, I have the first book in the series highlighted, The Catch No One Wants. Talk to us about how this all started with the father and daughter, Grayson and Veronica. How did it all begin for you?
You know what? I was really thinking about how best to approach what I wanted to talk about. And I thought about a father-daughter relationship. Initially, I started with the daughter who had difficulties finding a husband and the mistakes she was making. I'm going, okay, wait a minute. She's got to have somebody that's going to guide her through this process. And what better person than her father, because he was a pastor of a church. Mm-hmm. He taught pre-marriage sessions at his church. And it started out with just a little glimpse of his life. He had 3 children. The other 2 children are already married and gone. And this one, a daughter, was the remaining daughter and the one that was having the most problems. So it was easy for me to come up with that. And then I said, well, where do I get his personality? How do I build this character? And I said, why don't I use my husband? And so Bruce became the model for Grayson.
Wow.
And that's how the story began.
Love that. So, Dr. Bruce, I want to ask you, what did you think of Grayson when your wife first told you about him?
I was really honored that she wanted to use me as an example, for her book, for Grayson. Mm-hmm. And so when she told me about it, I kind of thought about it, but then I said, you know what? She knows me better than anyone else. And so I really, like I said, I was really proud to hear that she used me for her book as Grayson.
Yeah. And Dr. Velma, you and I have talked about this, but I want to kind of expound on this a bit. I
Mhm.
mean, when you first wrote this book, I mean, could you imagine now, 3 books in, with more to come, that Grayson and Veronica would be such beloved characters?
So many of the readers have expressed how much they love Grayson because of the fact that he didn't come down hard on his daughter and the difficulties he watched her have with chasing after men. He didn't come down that way. He used grace, Grayson, but used
Yeah.
grace, towards his daughter, which was an example of something that we have to remember as well. Even in the marriage, we're applying grace all the time, just
Yeah.
giving each other a break a little bit, and sometimes that's what we need to see and hear. So it was exciting for me, Cyrus.
Yeah. And I think for those who don't know, so it begins with this book, To Catch No One Once, and then she gave us the second book in the series, The Wrong Catch. I'm going to highlight it for you guys on the Amazon side here. You all can see it there. And then after that, the newest book that is also a bestseller is The Wrong Catch, She'll Tear Down the House. Of course, this one is kind of targeted toward the men. And Dr. Bruce, I've been talking to Dr. Velma about this book. I love one of the things I love so much about it is the way that Grayson pours into these men and really tries to encourage them and acknowledge the challenges that they face just being men in the world. And Dr. Velma, I want to ask you about that for our audience who may have missed that conversation. Why was that important for you to do? Because we've seen Grayson and the way he's dealt with his daughter, but why was it important for you for him to show that empathy and love and respect for those men?
Well, I think it's important because my husband has, as a pastor, had a group of men that he had to work with. He has family members and people he continued to remain in contact with and have discussions around this topic. And he and I talked a lot about it. He was one of the first ones who said, you really need to write a book that represents the men's, from the male perspective, what men go through in dating, along with a few other guys who asked for the same, readers asked for a male perspective as well. So I had to really bend his ear regarding the topics I needed to address in this book. And so it was really helpful to me, in addition to conducting a survey of a few other men that I knew to get their perspective as well. So all of that was important in building these characters for this particular book.
Love that. Hello to you, Veronica J. Hudson on the Amazon side. Veronica says hello. Okay, Veronica says hello.
In the book, Cyrus.
Okay, so that brings up a great question because you've been able to do some great nods to people. How much fun has that been for your family and friends, Dr. Velma, to see themselves, at least name-wise, making appearances in your book?
Absolutely. It's been really exciting because, you see Miss Queenie in there. I think she's in 2 books. My sister, Veronica, is the main character, the other main character. And I've talked about using Grace. I didn't want to use Bruce's name for the male character. I just thought Grayson was better. Pastor Grayson was better. Yeah. But I also have my mother, my grandmother, and my stepmother, whose names are in there in the first book. They're the mothers of the church that tries to intervene in one of the stories. And I found that there's over 20 friends and family members whose names I used in that very first book. And you'll see it throughout the series because I think it's a wonderful legacy. I have my other sister, Cynthia's in there, and I think Cheryl's in there, and my other sister. So just them being willing to allow me to use their first names, taking into consideration that they're nothing like these characters. They're just fictitious people, but they allowed me to use their first names. I think it's a great legacy that I can leave my family.
Well, I'm going to do something, Dr. Velma and Dr. Bruce, I normally don't do, and that's put people on the spot. No, I'm joking. Okay. I do it occasionally. But there's something that I had read, and we've never discussed this, Dr. Velma and Dr. Bruce. I'm so glad you're here. In my 70s story, there's something I read, and I said, you know what? I need to ask them about that. And this is an important and empowering point, I hope.
This is a learning opportunity, Cyrus.
Look, but Dr. Velma, this is what you said about, and this is about value. Okay. And I want our audience to get this about the importance of knowing your worth and recognizing your worth and someone else seeing your worth. You wrote this in my 70s love story. What he felt about my worth and what I felt about myself was important. I recall the day I spoke negatively. I could not believe a guy of my husband's caliber was interested in me. Regular affirmations helped me remember the good in myself and the good he saw in me. My husband saw my value and worth, and he recognized he was not ready for me. Sharing what he saw in me was my reminder that I was the prize. It was necessary for him to work towards meeting my standards. I am glad I did not lower my standards. I was ready to wait for the one who respect and value me at the level I set. I want to talk about this because value. There are so many people, Bagbies, that settle. So I want to ask you first, Dr. Velma, how important has it been for you to recognize your value? And what do you want our audience to know about the importance of knowing their own value too?
I think it's important. It starts there. And it's so often that I've met women who didn't value themselves. I mean, we have examples in the first book of women who didn't value themselves. And that's the reason they ended up with some of the guys they were dating at the time. And so that's how the stories were born in that very first book, just showing Veronica, the character, who did not value herself very well, and even the other characters in the book. So I think it's important for us to begin there, because if you don't value you, you can't expect anybody else to value you. And what that does to a person who doesn't value themselves, sometimes you give off the wrong impression to a person because you don't value yourself and you think that they can't see that in your heart. They can. I think my husband thought I was really kind of green. We used the word green back there in the 70s. Unlearned, not ready, all of those things. And I think he just saw that as my innocence, in a sense, that I'm glad he didn't discount it, because I was not feeling it at first. And I had a lot of those challenges along the way in my life, even in my career, just by what I had to be exposed to. So I had to continue to remind myself of who I was, and the scripture helped me to do that. And that's the reason I talk about the value first, even now. You have to know who you are and what you're worth. Why are you laughing? You're smiling, Cyrus.
Well, because Cynthia says, I'm nothing like the character.
Thank you, sister. Nothing.
Look, hey, look, Bagby's like I told you, I'm just here for the comments.
Wow. Yeah, none of them are.
Yeah, but that is such a good point. And Dr. Bruce, I want to ask you, what do you want men to know about that? Look, based on your experience, and again, as you're celebrating this big milestone of 50 years, what do you want them to know about the keys to a successful marriage?
I truly believe that, it has to be plenty of prayer, compromise, and just being able to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. I think those are the three main things that you have to be able to have in a relationship. Okay. But I want to add one thing. We have to, as men in a relationship, we have to remember that our wives are our prize. Mm-hmm. And we have to honor and respect them. And I was always taught to, I was always told to always make sure that you take care of the one God has given you for a mate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I try to use that all the time. I make that a habit of trying to do what I'm supposed to do as a husband.
Love that. Love that. As a side note, Veronica says, I'm not like the character either. Such great words, Dr. Bruce. So glad. And I hope, I've treated you well, Dr. Bruce. That means you have to come back here. Dr. Velma, I'm going to wrap things up for you. Again, congratulations on the success of the Catch series. We do know at the end of book 3, there's going to be more to come. But for those who are just tuning in, and I see some of them here that are just finding out about you in the Catch series. Oh, so really? What do you want them to know as they're beginning this journey with these books? What do you hope the books do for them?
I'm hoping it's going to open the eyes of people and that they really discover there's been a blueprint provided us all along. We just have not discovered it. So I thought it was important for me to begin to write about it because God's word provides us with a lot of knowledge and wisdom in terms of how we can use it to discover the mate that God has for us. So I hope they'll discover something new, a aha moment, something they didn't know before, some great nuggets. And they said, wow, I'm going to use this, just like many of the other readers have told me that they could not believe what they can learn from fish.
Love that. Such a great point. Again, everyone, Dr. Velma Bagby and Dr. Bruce Bagby have been our guests in their first on-camera conversations here on Amazon Live, celebrating 50 years of marriage, as well as being able to share some of their journey with all of us. You can read more about the Bagbys by getting the book, My 70s Story. My 70s Love Story. It's here on Amazon. I have it highlighted for you guys in the carousel. On the Amazon side, appreciate the hearts, guys. Appreciate that. And for those who are getting the book now for yourself for the first time, I know you guys are going to enjoy them. Again, you can get My 70s Love Story for only 99 cents here on Amazon. And then, of course, you can get the books in the Cat series here as well. Cynthia says, find a man to look at you like Bruce is looking at his wife. Oh,
you caught on camera.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia, I think he's saying we got through it. We're almost at the end of this thing. But Bagby's, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it. Dr. Velma, how can our viewers stay connected with you?
I'm on all the social media platforms as Dr. Velma Bagby. So just look and you'll probably find my name. If you Google, you'll find my name. And my website is drvelmabagby.com if you want to reach and subscribe to my webpage as well. So feel free to reach out. Actually, Cyrus, you got Bruce and I thinking about going back and reading my 70s love story. There's some interesting things in there.
Hey, it's some good stuff in there. It's a good. Yeah. I highly recommend it. No, it is a great story. It is so good to be able to discuss it with you all. And I want to say, on a personal note, thank you all for sharing your journey with us, because that is, I'm sure, is not an easy thing to do. Relationships, there's so many things that I think we can learn from one another. So I appreciate you all sharing this journey with all of us in My 70s Love Story. But also, Dr. Velma, I thank you for writing these books that help us to see, one, we need to talk about these things. These are all things that we need to talk about. And sometimes fiction makes it a safer place for us to do it in, and to be able to see ourselves and to see things maybe we need to work on. And both as men and women. So I want to thank the two of you for the time and looking forward to our next chat together.
Absolutely. Did you hear that?
Yes.
He said our next chat.
There you go. There you go. And we thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you all soon. You take care.